I'm Huon Hooke. This is The Real Review, and we're talking to Stephen Henschke, the boss, the man in charge, or one of the family in charge of the Henschke family winery at Cainton up in the Eden Valley. And the sixth generation member, I believe, of the Henschke family.
I'm actually the fifth generation. Justine and her brothers are the sixth generation.
They're the sixth. Very good. I was jumping ahead of myself there. But it's congratulations of course, on being a member of our little club, the Top Wineries of Australia 2021 again. And of course, Henschke, one of the most highly regarded, most respected wineries in Australia. Famous for, its Shiraz wines more than anything, Hill of Grace, Mount Edelston, etc. But I thought that we might start off talking about the less famous wines, because every year it seems to me you come up with something unusual and unexpected and quite often new that's really quite extraordinary. And you have an amazing portfolio of wines these days, many of which have been created during your and through your wife's tenure in charge of the winery. What more exciting and unexpected things have you got waiting in the wings for us?
We try to maintain a level of restraint, I think. But there are still varieties, I think, that would be really well suited to our region and would be worth exploring. And one we are looking at Lenswood, as you probably know, is Grüner Veltliner. And the Grüner is a really beautiful Austrian variety that has sort of white pepper and sort of green peppercorn characters on the finish and lovely stone fruit flavors and quite textural as a variety. So that's probably certainly a white variety we're looking at. But we're pretty happy at the moment with the range of red varieties that we've got. But, who knows down the track what we're going to need. So we'll just keep experimenting in the background.
Oh, well, you do a pretty good job of it. I wanted to ask you, and this is a bit of a Dorothy Dixer, but if there was one factor that you could put your finger on which explains or helps explain the high quality of your wines across the board, what would that be?
It's very hard to answer a question like that, to be honest. But I think the most logical answer is the vineyard. The fact that we have amazingly historic vineyards, old vines that have a level of concentration, complexity, structure, texture, not as in bigness, but as in elegance and length and flavour. And the fact that I have a viticulturist who is my wife, Prue, a botanist, botany background, who has applied amazing creativity to vineyard management to bring out the best in the vineyard and the best in fruit flavors. So I think, I really firmly believe 99% of what we're doing is the vineyard, and 1% is the winemaker guiding it in the right direction.
And we tend to forget that there has been quite a few people in the Henschke family over the generations who've been growers of various things, who've been green-thumbed people like Louis, I think it was, who ran the vineyards, and the rose grower. There's been a lot of farming types in the family.
Yeah, I think if I look back at my ancestors, and to think that when Nicholas Stanitsky planted the Hill of Grace vineyard back in the late 1850s, early 1860s, their knowledge, even when Ronald Angus planted the Mount Edelston in 1912, for example, their knowledge was quite different, because that was all modern fertilizers and pre-mechanical everything. And so they were really working in sync with the seasons. So they understood how the seasons work. They understood how to nourish and keep their vines, their plants, all sorts of things, and their farm healthy.
Yeah, you've gone back to organics, back to the days pre-chemical farming, pre-industrial farming, when they wouldn't have used the word organic, would they? But that's what we call what they were doing then.
No, the irony I think, Huon, is that if you're practicing organics, you need to tick boxes to be certified organic. It should actually be the other way around. Organic should be the basis, and you should have to tick boxes if you're applying chemicals.
I like the idea. Of all the wines you produce, and you produce quite a range, do you have a personal favourite?
I would actually like to name two personal favourites. I think historically the Eden Valley has produced Riesling and Shiraz as two varieties for 150 years. And I think they're definitely our signature varieties. And I would like to think that in another 150 years' time, we'll still be using those varieties. And I think the highlights of those are the Julius Riesling that we've been making. And this last vintage, the 21 vintage, was just an absolutely awesome vintage for Riesling. And I think the 21 Julius is an incredibly good example of how beautiful old vine Riesling can look. And it's based on our Eden Valley vineyard that Cyril planted back in the 60s. And Mount Edelstone. I mean, I think Mount Edelstone is is sort of living under the shadow of Hill of Grace, a more famous bigger brother, if you like. But in fact, Mount Edelstone is a vineyard that gave Cyril his reputation. It was the first single vineyard wine that he made in 1952. We've made it now for well over nearly 70 years now. Mm-hmm. And it's just epitomizes in my mind what Eden Valley Shiraz looks like. It has that beautiful sage, beautiful pepper, black and red and blueberry fruits, beautiful elegance, lovely fine mature tannins, and it's just a really, really gorgeous wine, and often not seen by, not recognized by most people for the quality that their wine has, because everybody thinks about Hill of Grace.
It's been a great pleasure talking to you. Thanks for your time, Stephen Henschke, fifth generation incumbent at the Henschke family winery in Eden Valley, and of course one of our Real Review top wineries of Australia 2021. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you, Huon. Cheers.